Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Jay the Sports Professor channel. Today's video we're going to go ahead and talk about key NFL matchups to look forward to. Now, with this NFL season, guys, it's very interesting because there's so many different storylines with the NFL today. And the most notable, Shedeur Sanders dropping to the 5th round. And this is something that most people did not expect. I myself, being a Shedeur Sanders fan, did not expect him to drop in the 5th round. But he eventually got drafted to Cleveland Browns at the 144th pick. There's other different storylines that's been going on in the NFL, like Dak Prescott. Will he have a successful year? Will he actually take the Cowboys to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl? Because every year the Cowboys are projected to make it to the Super Bowl, but oftentimes that's one thing that people always hype them up in the media. The Cowboys are always talked about, right? But this year the Dallas Cowboys had a very quiet off season. Now, just to give y'all some context, I'm actually a Washington Commanders fan. I'm a big Washington Commanders fan. I've been a Commanders fan since I came out the womb. The first matchup, guys, that I look forward to watching is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the defending Super Bowl champions. Now, the reason why we're talking about this specific matchup because the Dallas Cowboys have Dak Prescott and they have a new head coach in Brian Schottenheimer, right? So we don't know what to expect when we see this particular team. My guess is they might come out doing pretty good because of Dak Prescott's his ability to throw the ball very effectively. You know, his stats, his numbers speak for itself. He's been very consistent throughout the regular season, but last season he got injured, so that kind of threw the Cowboys off, and they actually showed Dak Prescott's value, his value, right? This last season showed whenever Dak Prescott was out, the Cowboys weren't as successful. So again, this past season definitely showed the value of Dak Prescott, and him getting his contract really showed the investment that Jerry Jones has on Dak Prescott. So, and also against the defending Super Bowl championships, we don't know what they're going to look like, right? They have a complete team. The Eagles have the most complete team. Now, I'm guessing that the Eagles will win this matchup, but the Cowboys may come out and surprise us, right? They got new draft picks. They also got George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's going to be an additional weapon outside of CeeDee Lamb. So the Cowboys are going to have two explosive wide receivers. Now, me personally, I hate the Cowboys. Just to let y'all know, I hate the Cowboys. But we're talking about what's the most talked about matchup coming up in this season's regular season. So the Dallas Cowboys versus Philadelphia Eagles, right? And plus, we talked about the tush push stuff and all the things that's going on with the new rule being upheld and not being banned because it's so hard to stop. Like, I can't imagine me being a former football player trying to stop tush push, right? It just looks crazy. You know, do I have to jump over the line to stop them? Like, it's damn near impossible to stop them. So I guess with the Philadelphia Eagles continuously going to do it, I guess everybody else is going to probably practice the tush push. But again, I think it's going to get to a point where they're going to end up shutting it down. Just my opinion, right? Just from a football player's perspective. Another matchup that I look forward to, and a lot of people don't talk about this, December 7th between the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans. And I wonder who we're about to address. I want y'all to figure that out in the comments for those who made it this far in this video. Because we all know that eventually Shedeur Sanders is going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, right? And the #1 overall draft pick is Cam Ward. Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are really good friends. They work out with Daryl Colbert, who is a quarterback's coach. And I really look forward to seeing those two play against each other in the National Football League. It'll be a great way to show both made to the league. They both came from very similar journeys, them playing in the FCS level all the way to the FBS level, and now they're in the NFL, which is extremely exciting. So that's a matchup to look out for. And by that time, it will be December 7th, so Shedeur should have, you know, we know he's going to be named the starting quarterback eventually sometime in this season. But again, That matchup is going to be very, very, very intriguing. Another matchup that I look forward to is my team, the Washington Commanders, with Jayden Daniels, along with his new addition with Deebo Samuels and Terry McLaurin in his 8th season, I believe, 7th or 8th season. We also have a new addition on the offensive line with Laramie Tunsil, and then the draft pick that we got, I believe his name is Connie, that's going to play on the right side. So the Washington Commanders got all the missing pieces that we're looking for on the offensive side. We got to build that offensive line, so to protect Jayden Daniels and have Brian Robinson eventually get 1,000 yards. Now, who they're about to play? They're about to play Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Now, this is Caleb Williams, both of these quarterbacks sophomore season, but more particular, we're going to look at Caleb Williams. You know, he has a brand new staff with Ben Johnson, and we're really about to see what Caleb Williams is made of with a more established quarterbacks type coach and an offensive coach, because the Bears never really had an offensive coach. They've always had defensive coach. He does and matches up against the Washington Commanders, who has a very stingy defense, right? Led by Dan Quinn. But we're about to find out what Caleb Williams is made of this season, because that's also the talk of town. He had a really rough rookie season. He didn't struggle necessarily as far as him. He just had a really terrible offensive line. He was getting hit every play. He was a terrible coach. Just a terrible foundation on the coaching staff. And now that he has a brand new coaching staff led by Ben Johnson, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be exciting to see the Chicago Bears and see what they do this season, because we want to see if Caleb Williams is really that generational talent that everybody says and hypes him up to be. We want to see that Heisman Trophy winning style of play in Caleb Williams. We're going to see how well he throws those off-schedule plays and how he rolls out and makes those fancy throws and the no-look type Mahomes throws and that big arm that he showed some parts of this season and also most of his collegiate career. But we have to also take in consideration, this is the NFL, Caleb. So this is a whole different ballgame, but Caleb understands it. And I believe he's working hard to get better because he's gotten through one season of playing in the National Football League. Same with Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels probably had the best rookie season for a quarterback I've ever seen in life. And it's been talked about on numerous occasions, on numerous talk shows. He led the Washington Commanders to the NFC Championship, which is so rare. I've never even breathed. I'm 32 years old, so I never had a chance to see the Washington Commanders make it that far. The last time I remember the Washington Commanders making it that far was in 2005 when they beat the Buccaneers in the wild card round when Sean Taylor picked up that fumble, almost running back for a touchdown. Also, you know, that's when we had Clinton Portis and Mark Brunell, same Sean Taylor, all those great players on that team, and Joe Gibbs was leading that team, and we ended up making it to the divisional round and lost to the Seattle Seahawks when they had Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander, all those guys. So that was the last time I've ever witnessed, you know, the Washington Commanders make it that far. And then for this year, for Jayden to lead them to the NFC Championship game, that is incredible. I've never heard nothing like that. I don't think we'll ever see that for a very long time unless Shedeur Sanders does his thing and becomes a starting quarterback. But that's a whole different topic for another day, right? But anyways, these first-year quarterbacks become, you know, sophomores and see how they plan out and see how they do. Because remember, C.J. Stroud had a little down year, although he led them very far in the playoff run, but statistically, he wasn't as good as he was his rookie year, right? I guess when it comes to football in the NFL, teams, defensive coordinators are in the lab studying these quarterbacks and understanding the weaknesses and figuring out ways to stop them. And that's why every year players are fighting to get better each and every year, because again, these coaches are professional coaches and they're studying film to find ways to beat that quarterback and that team. So that's my take for today. Again, in today's video, we talked about 3 specific matchups between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys, the Cleveland Browns, and the Tennessee Titans, and then last, the Washington Commanders versus the Chicago Bears, right? So if you guys have any other matchups you want me to discuss, please shoot me a comment and I'll discuss more. Any specific players you want me to talk about, please shoot me a comment. I will go in and discuss every game analysis, things of that nature. And you guys stay tuned. I will have a live coming up very soon on some NBA stuff. So you all stay tuned and enjoy the rest of Jay the Sports Professor.